Hello there. Let's talk safety. Okay. One of the things I wanted to get out there early on in this my channel is the aspect of kayak fishing safety. Um, it's a real booming sport. A lot more and more people are doing it, but then again, a lot more and more people are ending up dying or missing or getting injured. So I want to kind of get this out earlier in part of my channel, as well as because of the fact that I'm going to go offshore tomorrow. So a lot of the stuff that I take with me is specific to that, and then I think it's a good idea for people to understand what's required when you are going offshore or inshore, even basically anywhere on the water. It's different levels of safety requirements. Okay, I'm going to kind of go over majority of everything that I carry on the kayak for an offshore excursion. Like I said, some of it will be tailored back when I do inshore or flats type or just quick fun trips, but most of it is you'll find me with using it. So we'll kind of go through things. The first thing I wanted to kind of go over, which is not really equipment, but is probably the most important part of kayak safety, and that's experience. Experience is basically just like life. The more you've been through, the more you're equipped to handle future events. Okay, when you're first getting involved with kayaks and kayak fishing in particular, it's very important that you don't just try to like watch the videos of these guys going offshore or whatnot and think that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to buy my kayak and I'm going to go offshore. Okay, that's probably one of the more dangerous things that you can do. Followed by just going out and fishing. One of the first things that you should always try to do is kind of get the kayaking done first. Okay, some of the people expression is primarily be a kayaker first, okay, and then a fisherman second, and that'll tend to kind of fix a lot of the safety issues. A good example is knowing how to handle wind, how to handle current, how to handle boat wake, okay, how to handle any type of situations. And the only real way to learn about them is to kind of live through them, okay. And it's not the best idea to learn about how to do kayak reentry when you're 10 miles offshore in a shark-infested area, and it'll be the first time you ever try to get from outside into your kayak, okay. So one of the first things I gotta tell people is that get on your kayak, forget all the other stuff, get your PFD, your kayak, and go in your swimming pool, okay. Find a very calm, shallow location, anywhere that's just, you don't have to worry about currents and winds and all that. You just basically just getting on the water. Get on your kayak and just kind of feel for it. Get the feel for the rockiness of it, how far you can go over before it gets real tipsy. Okay, learn how to turn, learn how to paddle, learn all those basic core steps, so that when you start doing the fishing part of it and you start going farther and farther, you're more comfortable should things come up. Okay, one of the most important training things you should do before you even put a fishing pole on your kayak is kayak reentry. Okay. I think it's probably one of the most important, but then again, I think it's the most overlooked. And I think it's very overlooked by the veteran kayak people too. Okay, I'll be honest with you, I see some pretty out of shape guys going kayak fishing, which is great, but I have to imagine that if they fell over out of their kayak and you add to that rough conditions, I just cannot see how they're getting back into their kayaks. I'm in pretty good shape, and it's still rough, and I question the ability of some people on taking that part of that and not into consideration of, at the minimum, of being able to get back into your kayak. And I'm not talking, it is good to learn with just going swimming and in your swim trunks and hopping in and out, but on top of that though is that you should be doing it fully clothed, like when you're going to go fishing. If you got pants, you got sneakers on, or water shoes, you got your long sleeve shirt on, you got your PFD on, you got your hat, you got your sunglasses, you got your rod holders there, you got your fishing pole stuff up there, you might have your fish finder set up on the sides, And how are you going to get in when you have all this stuff there? And then how you do on the left side, how you do on the right side. So it all just is experience again, okay? But those are the variables that you really have to know on that kayak reentry. That's going to be invaluable to you, okay? And it's a surprise type of thing that you don't want to learn way far away when the things can be very dangerous out there. Another situation I want to get involved with is a float plan, okay? Not a non-equipment type thing again, is a float plan. And that's basically just to let people know where you're going, when you should be back, okay? I'm guilty of this. I don't do this, to be honest with you. It's just I don't kayak fish with very many people. I fish a lot. I don't have a lot of plans of knowing where I'm going to go, when I'm going to go. It's kind of, I check the computer, get the wind, the waves, directional of the winds to figure out where I'm going to go. And then I'll go, and then I'll take a look, and if it's not right, then I'll go to my next spot and so forth. So it's a little bit quirky there. But on the flip side of it, because I know I don't do that, okay, I do really invest in the safety part of the experience by really having stuff, knowing that I am on my own. If something goes wrong, nobody's going to help me, okay? And that's basically how I have my kayak set up, is I'm going to be the one that's going to be saving myself, and period. And that's it, okay? So with that, I was going to start going into some of the equipment and their uses. One of the first things I would say, it's not necessarily going to instantly kill you, but down here in the Key West, Keys, South Florida, anywhere it's sunny, is basic protection. It might not get you now, but the more you're out there, the more exposure that can be more damaging to you. Wear a hat, okay, always very important. Not only is it for just sun protection, but really important for being able to see fish and see bait and see the quality of the water and so forth, of having that little bit of shade covering your eyes. A buff is really nice, and a buff is basically, you'll see it when I'm most of the time wearing them on my neck, but it's also a face covering that you can wrap it over your head and then around your face, so it totally blocks the sun. I do have sun lotions. Okay, I use SPF 70. I'm dark skinned, I'm in the sun a lot, but still I use 70 because it's just brutal sun. I'm out on the water, you're getting glare from the sun, but you're getting glare off the water, you're getting double magnified. You're out there 8-hour, 10-hour days, and regardless of your skin tone or how much you're used to the sun, you'll get cooked. So very important there. If you're going inshore, insect repellent, miserable with no-see-ums and mosquitoes if you get stuck out in the mangroves areas with no wind. Horrible. Or when you're launching, or you're loading your kayak when you're done in the morning or the evenings or wherever. Boom. Huge plus to having this. Leave this in your trunk of your car and have it available. And then another important part, just like the hat, is good pair of sunglasses, polarized. I use an amber tint. I use it a lot for the inshore, but for catching bait is very important. I also have a pair that have gray lenses for the deep water. But even then, I like the ambers because a lot of times I'm catching bait out there, so the ballyhoos that run up on top, just can see what kind of hardtails, see what kind of baits are around the floating weed beds and so forth. But I'll probably do another video on sunglasses because I've gone the gamut of the $5 Walmart specials, which I think are excellent, to $150, $200 Costa Del Mars and all the stuff in between. But those are just those cosmetically, but very safety, health-wise, are very important. Okay, so then let's go into some more hard items. Map, okay, is very good, as well as, like I say, as I use my computer a lot, the web, to dissect what I'm going to be fishing, where I'm going to be fishing, and so forth. The map part of it will help you to kind of have a float plan, and not only good for the fishing part of it, but for the safety part of it is knowing where you're at. The keys can actually be kind of confusing if you're going to go through the mangroves is one thing, but even offshore is to know, familiarize yourself with the northeast, southwest, the directionals part of it. And then you want to encompass in the wind directions. I go offshore, I go off pretty far, really far, in a kayak wise. And I experienced a big part of that in California. Not so much going far distances, but because of fog. In California, or any place, if anybody's dealt with fog before, is you could be miles and miles of visibility at 1 minute, and a minute later you can't see your hand in front of your face. And scary as hell. Okay. Almost equivalent to going 10, 15 miles offshore and having no visibility of land at all. And basically just being able to try to figure out where we're at by the clouds, okay, or the sun. Okay, it gets kind of sketchy, okay, and being able to kind of identify your locations of where you're going using a map will help you kind of visualize where you're at, which way the tide's going to take you, which way the wind's going to blow you, because if you get stuck out in some 10, 15, 20 knot winds, you'll find that that pushes that kayak super fast. Same thing with the current. You get in a current rip, you're a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles off in 10, 15, 20 minutes, an hour. You're just fishing, not paying attention. At the end of the day, you're 20 miles off of where you think you are, and then you have to figure out how to get back. Okay, so kind of just getting that overview before you get started, very important. In regards to locations wise, a few things that I've got is I have a fish finder / GPS. So it's got the GPS unit built into it. So I'm able to kind of always see where I'm at. Okay, it's a 50-50 for helping me find locations for wrecks, reefs, fish finder to find out what's underneath there, finding bait and whatnot, but also knowing where I'm at, which way the direction the current or the wind is blowing me. I could look on the map and see with the little arrow where I'm getting tracked. Okay, and that'll kind of head me off if I know I'm blowing pretty fast, too fast. I'm okay there. We get a lot of, the summer's almost over, but during summertime we get these flash storms that roll down the Keys. Okay, and visibility is gone, just like the fog in California. When it starts getting gray, blows over, you're just in the rains, the clouds come lower, and you can't see, and you're just in the blank of where you're at. But with the GPS, I can still back out, and I can see Key West, and I can see where I'm at, and I can see what direction I'm going. So although it's a good tool for fishing, I think it's very helpful for the safety aspects. A second thing I've got is a backup GPS. Okay, this one I've actually got hardwired so that I could plug this one into my the same battery that my fish finder is uses. I've been out there and my fish finder died, whether it be because it popped fuses, bad connections, corrosion, bad unit, which I just gone through this last month, but it died. Okay, what do you do? Okay, always got to have backups of everything. Very important to have backups. So that's what this is. This is actually my third backup because I've got my GPS fish finder, I've got this unit here which plugs into that battery if need be, and I also have a standard hard compass that I have mounted on the kayak, so regardless of electronics, I don't need them. I can at least kind of know with my float plan of where I'm at. Okay, I can also kind of know which direction I need to go to get home. One of the things if you're fishing out of Key West in particular, one of the key things you have to remember is that Key West is the last island of this part of the chain. Once you're to the west of Key West, okay, there are 1 or 2 more islands that way, but basically you're out in the middle of the Gulf, and your next stop is Cuba. And if you do not have the directional tools to identify where you're at, and you make that mistake of heading west, or you head south, or you head east, okay, you're never hitting land. So very important part of it, especially fishing out of the Key West side. The other thing that's important to know down in the Keys is that unlike the mainland, we don't have any high rises down here. You fish Miami, you can go pretty far away because you've got these 40, 50 story buildings out there which give you a skyline that will help you visualize stuff. In Key West, I think 2 or 3, 4 maybe floors is about all you'll see on the shoreline there. And I could tell you basically this is how it goes. At the reef, which is 4 to 5 miles out, you could barely see the island chains going across without a problem right there. Okay, you go out to the secondary reef, which is the bar, at about 6 miles out. Okay, majority of the keys is gone. You can see kind of the Key West area there. You could see barely see the actual landmass, but what you can see pretty decently is the Key West harbor antenna lights out there, platforms out there, and then also on Boca Chica they've got the big satellite bowl out there, and then also the control tower for the landing strip, the military landing strip there. So you can visualize these there. Then you go about 8 miles out where where the wrecks are, and the only thing that you can basically see is the tower and that radar satellite, and that's basically all that you can see on the mainland. And that's flat calm. If you have anything over 3-foot waves, that's gone. You don't even see that. Then the next landmark that you can really only see is the American Shoals Tower, which is a massive tower out right at the end of the reef, east. I think it's more equivalent to like Big Pine, and that's somewhat visible. And that's the last thing that you can see. So I use that as a directional quite a bit, knowing that I need to keep it to my right at about a 45-degree angle in order to head back to the islands to get a couple miles up to where I'll be able to see anything. Then you start going out to about 10 to 12 miles out, and then you're floating in the desert. Okay, there's nothing. You cannot see anything out there. So you're on your own distinctions. You're basically on these either the fish finder GPS, your handheld GPS, or a compass to kind of help you get your way home. Because if you do not know exactly which direction that you're needing to be going, don't paddle, because you could be going 3 different directions, which are all going to end up badly. So figure out by utilizing the sun